Hello from Thailand. If you are curious about getting a motorcycle driver's license in Thailand, this video is for you. As of 3 days ago, I got a Thailand motorcycle driving license, and I'm going to share what I did to get that license. Full upfront disclosure here. This video is not a complete step-by-step how-to guide that covers every possible scenario that comes up when getting a Thai driver's license. I'm simply sharing the process that I used to get my license. So first, a little background about me and why I decided to get a license. I am an American citizen. I'm retired and I have been living in Thailand with a non-immigrant retirement visa since March of 2024. I am on a quest to visit all of the provinces in Thailand. As of the time that I am making this video, I have been in 27 provinces. It has become apparent to me that it would be helpful if I rented a motorcycle while visiting some of the provinces. There are places that I want to visit that are difficult to reach using public transportation or a tuk-tuk or songtao or taxi. Renting a motorcycle would help me out. I never had a motorcycle endorsement on my American driver's license. So if I use an international driving permit or my home country license to rent a motorcycle, I have two potential issues. First, I may not have insurance coverage in the event of an accident. And second, there's the potential of receiving a fine for not having the appropriate license. I am fully aware that there are a good number of people that come to Thailand and rent motorcycles without having the correct license and have no issue. But I'd rather be safe than sorry. And to be perfectly legal, if I rent a motorcycle, I decided to get a Thai motorcycle driver's license. So that is my background reason for getting the license. The requirements to get a Thai driver's license can be found on the Thailand Department of Land Transport site, or the DLT site. I will leave a link to their website in the description below. There are also a number of websites, if you search the internet, that list these same requirements and have a little better explanation than what is available on the DLT site. The requirements are this, and I will talk a bit about each of these after reading the list. First is a valid passport and visa. Second, a residency certificate. Third, a medical certificate. And then lastly, you need your current driver's license from your home country in English or a valid international driving permit. In the absence of an international driving permit or a home country license, you can get a certificate from a certified DLT training partner and use that certificate to get your license. That is the route that I took. Since I didn't have a motorcycle endorsement on my license from the United States, I enrolled in DLT certified training to get a certificate to get my license. Back to the requirements. For the passport and visa, I have a non-immigrant O retirement visa. You will notice that the information on the DLT website does not indicate any particular type of visa. I found posts on the internet within the previous 6 months of when I made this video where individuals claimed they had successfully obtained Thai driver's licenses on tourist visas. I'm not able to validate those claims, but I will say that I have not seen anything that specifically states it is not possible on the DLT website. For the residency certificate, I went to the Chaengwattana immigration office in Bangkok to get a residency certificate. I have a separate video where I discuss getting that certificate, and I have a link below. Getting the certificate was really easy. As a United States citizen, my only option was to get this at the immigration office. The United States Embassy in Bangkok and the consulate office in Chiang Mai do not issue residency certificates. For the medical certificate, I went to the WellMed Bangkok Clinic on Sukhumvit in Bangkok. I have a link to their location and website below. I made an appointment online and they charged me 200 baht. The medical certificate is a short medical history questionnaire that also records your weight, your height, and blood pressure. I did not know this at the time, but it was also possible for me to get a medical certificate at the place where I got my training. The training center had the same certificate form, and I believe they only charge 100 baht for the medical certificate if you are enrolled in a driving course. I had already obtained a medical certificate prior to attending my training. For my training, I attended the Srinont driving school in Nonthaburi. I have a link to their location and Facebook page in the description. I contacted them through Facebook and gave them my information to enroll via Facebook messaging. They were very responsive in communicating via Facebook. The total fee for the motorcycle training and exams at the Srinont driving school was 1,000 baht. My training took place on 2 days. I did the driving portion of the training on a Saturday, and I did the classroom and written exam portion on a Sunday. My instructor at the driving school spoke English. In fact, English was their first language. On Saturday morning, after getting checked in, we started with some physical tests. The tests were these. The first was color identification. This was simply a test to see if I was colorblind. The instructor triggered different colored lights, and I had to identify the colors. The next test was a reflex test. I sat at a machine that had a little accelerator pedal and a brake pedal. I pushed the accelerator pedal and then quickly had to step on the brake pedal when an indicator light changed. So this was to test my reflexes. The next test was a depth perception test. There was a machine where you could control the position of a vertical pin. You needed to move the pin away from you and then towards you and align it with a second stationary pin. Your alignment needed to be within a tolerance range. And then the final test was a peripheral vision test. You pressed your forehead against a stationary light box and had to identify colors that appeared on your left or right while looking straight ahead. After doing the physical tests, we proceeded outside and I was assigned a semi-automatic motorcycle. It was a Honda Wave. I mentioned before that I have never had a motorcycle endorsement. I had ridden motorcycles before, but it had been more than 30 years ago and I had never driven a semi-automatic. The motorcycles that I rode when I was quite young were full manual shift with hand clutches. So when I was assigned a motorcycle, the very first thing I did was ask the instructor how to operate the motorcycle. I literally said, "Show me how to operate this." And that was the best thing, because not only did he show me what I needed to know to operate the motorcycle, but it alerted the instructor that riding a motorcycle wasn't an everyday thing for me. The driving training was really straightforward. There was a closed course where you drove through some orange cones, you went over bumps, and you did simulated driving where you used your turn signals and stopped at crossings and intersections. There was also a portion of the driving training where you had to drive the motorcycle in a straight line over a narrow bit of very slightly elevated concrete for about 50 meters or 50 feet. The objective was to keep the wheels of the motorcycle on the concrete path without touching the surrounding asphalt and you needed to do it in over 10 seconds, meaning you could not just zoom across it very quickly. This was a test of being able to balance and steer the motorcycle at slow speeds. I had trouble with this. Every time when I would start out, I would pick up my foot off the ground and put it on the bike. That transfer of weight would cause me to rebalance the motorcycle, and it was enough of a shift that I would drive over the edge of the narrow concrete path. But one of the great things about the class was I had unlimited practice time. So after our lunch break, I returned to the practice course and really worked on that part of the training until I could consistently do it. At the start of the day, I was a little bit apprehensive about riding a motorcycle. It had been a really long time. By the end of the day, though, I was both comfortable and confident in riding the motorcycle. At the end of the first day of training was the driving evaluation. A small group of people from the driving school observed while I navigated the course. The evaluation course was the same as the course that the instructor showed and that I had practiced earlier. The second day of the course on Sunday was the classroom instruction day. The instructor went over materials provided by the DLT, and then I took practice exams. The DLT test is on a computer, and there is a bank of a few hundred questions. When you take the test, 50 questions are pulled from the bank, and you need to get at least 45 out of 50 correct to pass the test. I took the practice test, I think, 6 times. Each time that I took the test, there were a few questions that I had not seen on previous takes. So taking the practice test multiple times helped me see most of the questions that were on the actual test. In the week prior to attending the training class, I found a website that had practice tests for the Thai driver's license. I have a link to that site below. I did the practice tests online at least a dozen times, and it really helped me learn the material for the exam. I will mention that for some of the questions, on the website, on the practice exams at the driving school, and on the actual tests, there were some errors in translation. Practicing the tests online multiple times before I ever went to the driving school really helped me be prepared and to understand the tests. In the early afternoon on Sunday, I took the written test. I scored 49 out of 50 on my exam. For the question that I missed, it was a question that I had not seen before on any of the practice attempts. I can tell you that while I was taking the exam, near the end, I knew I was going to pass. There were only 2 questions, including the one that I got wrong, that I had not seen in any of my practice attempts. So between the practice tests at the school and my self-study prior to going to the school, I was well prepared to take the written exam. After passing the written exam, the school issued me a certificate. They also booked an appointment for me at the Nonthaburi Provincial Transport Office, also known as the Nonthaburi DLT office. Where I lived in the United States, if you went to a third-party provider to get your driver's license, you did not need to visit the DMV office. The third-party provider was able to do everything necessary to issue the license. In Thailand, the DLT certified driving schools cannot issue the license. You still need to visit a DLT office and submit your training certificate and other required documents to get the license. The driving school prepared my submission for the DLT office. I gave them my residency certificate and my medical certificate, and they prepared a clear plastic pouch of my documents, completely ready to simply hand to someone at the DLT office. The topmost item visible in the pouch was my appointment information. I live in Bangkok. Even though I live in Bangkok, I was able to use the Nonthaburi DLT office that was somewhat near the driving school. My appointment was for 2 p.m. on Tuesday, just 2 days after I finished the training. I took the purple MRT line to the Nonthaburi Civic Center station, and I walked to the DLT office from there. From the street entrance of the Nonthaburi Provincial Transport Office, you can see a small office building ahead of you and off to the left a little bit. As you get closer to that building, you can see a second building that is further left. This is the building where driver's licenses are issued. There are signs at the building indicating that photographs are prohibited, so I don't have any photos of this office, but this is the rough layout of the DLT office in Nonthaburi. I arrived at the office a little bit before my scheduled appointment time. My appointment was at 2 p.m. and it was 1:49 when I entered the building. Directly ahead of the entrance was an information counter marked as window number 5. This is where I started. I gave the person at window number 5 my packet from the driving school along with my passport. They quickly reviewed my packet of information and they added a cover sheet. They handed the materials back to me along with a red card with the number 104 on it. This was my queue number, red 104. They then motioned with their hand towards the waiting area. I took a seat in the waiting area, and from my seat there were 2 screens visible that showed the progress of the queues. The words on the screens were in Thai, but it was not difficult to determine the window queue numbers. The first entry on the queue screens was for the red queue, and it indicated that window 6 was serving numbers 95 to 100. After a short wait, the screen updated and it indicated window 6 was now serving red numbers 101 to 105. I was red 104, so I stood up and got in line with the other people that were holding other red queue numbers between 101 and 105. When it was my turn at window number 6, I handed the person my documents and they did the data entry. They printed out a sheet of my information and they had me review and sign the sheet. I also printed my phone number at the bottom. The information was basic: my name, date of birth, and passport number. After signing the form and adding my phone number, the person indicated that I needed to go to window number 2. At window number 2, the attendant reviewed my documents and they collected the fee of 105 baht. When they asked for the fee, they spoke in Thai and they said Nung Loi Ha Baht, which I recognized as 105 baht. I paid in cash with the exact change, but it was possible to pay via a bank app scan. After paying the fee, the person gave me a slip to take to window number 3. At window number 3, the person took my picture and then motioned for me to return to the waiting area. I was in the waiting area for about 20 minutes and a person came forward with a few licenses in their hand. They visually searched the people in the waiting area, and when they spotted me, they handed me my license. I quickly glanced at the license and then left the office. When I stepped out of the door of the office, I looked at my watch and it was 2:34. My total time at the DLT office was 45 minutes. And that was it. From start to finish, that was the process for me to get my Thai motorcycle license. I have no affiliation with the Srinont driving school, but if you are in the Bangkok area and want to get a Thai motorcycle license or even a regular vehicle license, I have no hesitation in recommending the Srinont driving school. They were absolutely great to work with. And that's it for the information I have to share in this video. If you have questions or comments, feel free to leave them below. And feel free to subscribe to my videos and follow me on my quest to visit all of the provinces in Thailand. All right, thanks for watching.